Hey, I'm so stoked. That's gonna be amazing. I just got done the inaugural run of our hot and cold house hydrants by Aquor Water Systems. These things are so awesome. They're flush mount hose connections. They're frost free, they're vacuum broken, and they are made of super high quality materials. Aquor was gracious enough to send these units out to us for install. I'm gonna take you along each step of the way. I think I averaged about 45 minutes to install each one of these. We have 3 on the house, and it couldn't really have been much easier. Now, why do we have a hot and cold hose bib? 2 reasons. First, canning sink up on the deck. We want to have sort of an outdoor kitchen, or even out here in the lawn, have access to hot and cold water easily. And if we ever want an outdoor shower under the deck, we can easily run it in the warm season right here at the exterior of the house. Our hose bibs are going to pop through right here next to our well pressure tank, kind of down low, and it should come all the way through the wall in our utility room. These things are packaged just like an iPhone. Very premium feel. Aquor got its start doing sailboat, flush mount, deck cleaning ports, all really heavy duty materials, 316 stainless steel. And we have a different connector on the end here. The connector we have to hook into our PEX is this 90-degree here. And the cool thing about it, which I didn't know until I read the directions, is this O-ring seal here allows some leeway in where this can rotate up to. So after you tighten it, you can go 1 full turn back and it's still going to maintain its seal. So if your pipe happened to be coming from down below, you could rotate this, no problem, and it's not going to leak there. We're going to be mounting on stone veneer on the outside. So we got these 1.5-inch stainless steel mounting blocks. So the assembly, well, I don't have the cover plate on it now, but it'll go through this block like this and then go up against the wall. Now, there is one caveat to my installation that's gonna be a little bit different than what you would see in the manual. You can see if you look down the edge here that this drain port here, the lower drain elbow, sticks out beyond this 1.5-inch mounting block. And typically you would carve a big oval into your wall to accommodate that. I wanna keep the hole in the wall as small as I possibly can. So I'd like to only have to drill the circular hole that this tube has got to come through. So to make that happen, I made these little zip spacers that's the same width, the same profile of the mounting block. That's going to go here. I'm going to carve that big hole in just this spacer. I put little drainage notches in here as well in case any water does happen to get behind this box, whether it be from condensation or otherwise, that it can all drain out the bottom. This is how the assembly sits into that mounting block. There's a wedge to keep this thing at a slight angle when it's up against the wall so that all the water drains out of it. It's a frost-free hydrant, so the valve is actually back here where the warmth inside your house is. Once you disconnect the hose handle, all the excess water comes out this drain here. So Elena's dad, Mark, and I did one of these already on the front hose bib. That just kind of got our feet under us, but we time-lapsed it all. Here's how the other installation turned out. Of course, this one is inside of our 2x6 wall. I'm gonna put an access door right here, but I sealed it up. It's got our 90-degree fitting on it, just like the others, and then I've insulated all the way up this line and in that first rafter bay as well. Aquor gives you a template for this oval, but I just traced it from the mounting block. So there's our dry assembled mock-up. Fits quite nicely. You can see this is the reason for the spacer. We don't have any of that extra hardware sticking out back. Just one circular hole through the wall is all we need. So we kind of marked out what feels comfortable as far as the height goes here, and we think it's gonna be about 28 inches from the top of our foundation wall. And then this is the stud bay we need to drill in. We confirmed the well pressure tank is in this stud bay, so we can't be drilling through where that's at. I'm gonna mark 28 inches up here, and we thought that about 9 inches apart looks good. It gives us some room, because like I said, this is gonna have stone veneer on it. Gives us some room to put stone in between the mounting blocks and not look too weird, and we didn't really want the mounting blocks like right up next to each other. So I think this will work just fine. The plan is to drill a level pilot hole, using a level on my drill to make sure I'm straight when I go in, but the Aquor bibs go up at an angle. So that hole on the inside panel is actually gonna be like a 1/2 inch higher than the one on the outside panel here. So when we get inside there, we'll drill a hole saw from the inside a 1/2 inch higher. This is where our drill bit just barely made it through the wall, our pilot bit, and then I marked a little crosshair a 1/2 inch up from that. Just gotta sort of move our insulation around. So now all we gotta do is assemble these. We got our backer block, and we can stick this thing through the wall, hopefully. These stainless mounting blocks come with machine screws because there is a welded nut on the inside of here, so the wood screw will not work. down. Oh, there we go. Now that everything's fastened in, we just gotta flash them. So I'm gonna be using zip tape, of course, with our zip sheathing, 3-inch regular zip tape up the sides, and then their fancy stretch tape on the heads. So I can kind of wrap it all the way around and get on all these creases correctly. Just checking out my drainage pathways. It looks like that's gonna work out awesome. Just in case any water ends up in this enclosure from condensation or otherwise, it will have a way out. We're gonna have rain screen here on our siding too, so any water that might get in there and drain out will just drain right into the rain screen and right onto the ground. The zip tape went on pretty easily for the flashing, and I could have used a fluid applied flashing like Zip Liquid Flash as well. In hindsight, I probably should have coated the bottom edge of my OSB blocks. I guess I can still do that with the liquid flash and just make sure I don't clog the drainage ports. That completes the flashing on the outside. I really like how that turned out with that stretch tape. All we got left to do is basically piece of cake, screw on our 90-degree PEX adapters. Again, you can go all the way down hand tight. That's hand tight right there, and obviously that's not the angle my pipe needs to come in at. It needs to come in like here, but that's totally okay because it's an O-ring seal. I can rotate this up to a full turn in order to put my pipe wherever it needs to go, and this is not gonna leak. I was actually thinking about that when we ordered these things, and I wasn't sure how that was gonna work, but I was glad to see in the instructions they clarified, and I tested it on the one up front, works just great. All I gotta do left is hook up my hot and cold supply lines, which I already have ready to go, and we are done. I'm gonna throw a little bit of backer rod in here because I wasn't totally dead center, and I'll just put some clear sealant around that to seal that off. Then I should be ready to fire it up. We're gonna have hot and cold water outside. That is exciting. I crimped the side of the manifold here, so let's just get down to it. This is where we'll check for leaks. I don't anticipate any. It's a very short run of line, but always gotta check. So turn on my hose bib rear circuit. Hear that pipe filling up. Oh. That was the weirdest sound ever. I thought something was leaking. It's just the pipe filling up. It's just that vertical section of pipe filling up. Cold is on. Now let's try hot. This is literally just coming over and down. Oh, water heater kicked on. No leaks, not really expecting any leaks. The PEX crimp system works great, so let's go outside and try it. So I'm just gonna use the straight connectors that are provided with each hose bib, but I should note that there are other options too. Here's an angled one with a valve and then just a regular angled one. So if your hose reel is down low, that's no problem at all. I'll just use the straight ones for demonstration, and they work with any regular garden hose. You just screw it right on. So like any faucet, I put the hot on the left and the cold on the right. So they should be just ready to go. Now I don't have a hose to this, obviously, but hey, look at that. I'm just gonna let it run for a bit. Hey, cold water, we have more pressure for sure. Is it turning hot? Yep, that's turning hot. Awesome. All right, before I flood the back of this house, I'm gonna turn this off. Wow, that's awesome. I'm so stoked. That's gonna be amazing. Because this is frost-free, that's why it has this drain here. So when you activate the valve, which is on the inside of the house, it obviously fills with water, pushes out, but when you deactivate it, all the water that's in the tube is redirected and drains back down here. So you can see that's why it drains down, and it will just go over your siding, just like any rainwater would. So all that leaks back out, which is what you want, because then it can't freeze inside your wall and burst. That's beautiful. I'm not sure why, but I just think this is so cool. I think it's one of the most unique features of our house, even though you honestly could do this to any house pretty easily. But I just love how these things work. They seal with water pressure, by the way. It uses the water pressure to create the O-ring seal, which is kind of unique. So when you're pressing that connector in, you're actually working against your own water pressure and locking it. And then when you pull it back out, the water pressure seals it. I really am impressed with the thought and the engineering that went into these. I really do think they're going to last quite a long time. The materials that these are made from are amazing compared to what you would get in any supply house or big box store. For example, these are not just molded ABS plastic. These are Delrin, which is a reinforced polymer typically found in engineering applications. I use it a lot as an engineer, and it is good stuff. Same thing with the hose bodies and these mounting blocks. This is 316 stainless steel. Aqua got their start making flush mount deck washout ports on multi-million-dollar yachts and sailboats. The boats needed something sleek that wouldn't rust and was a really solid connection for water. So that's where the design came from. And of course, now they've moved into consumer products going into high-end homes. But the quality in craftsmanship and material selection has definitely stayed. I mean, these are not cheap O-rings. These are Viton, real aerospace automotive grade O-rings. Like I said, the Delrin connectors, the 316 stainless. 316 is the only alloy that will not rust in a marine environment. I know that firsthand. So they just really have done a great job at material selection and keeping quality high on these. It's reflected in the price, no doubt. These are definitely expensive units. But if you're looking for something high-end, sleek, that's going to work well for many, many years to come, this is definitely a product you want to check out. Fast forward a month, we've been using the hydrants fairly extensively. This one's been hooked up full time, supplying water to our camper over there. And this one we are using with the actual Aquor hose, which is a nice, really nice quality hose, just for washing stuff off, filling up buckets of water. We're going through a drought right now, so we're watering our fruit trees with it as well. But these things have not leaked a drop of water. And I found out something kind of cool that I didn't know before. Even these straight connectors that don't have a valve that's like that you can turn, they don't leak water. They're actually valved, so you don't lose all the water out of the hose or the pressure when you're removing the hose, so you're not leaking it all over the place, and it's a little bit more controlled. One other tip I realized is there's an arrow there that basically tells you where to line it up with that top tab. So you're not guessing where you got to start the cam mechanism. It's right there, and it's easy every time. The hose is quite a bit lower profile than a normal garden hose. It's skinnier, and it's definitely very kink resistant. You can kink it if you try, but it doesn't hold it at all. It basically pops right back out. Actually, I haven't tried this with my normal garden hose yet, but I have a feeling it's not quite the same. It's a much slower reaction on the old one. But that's pretty neat that they have high quality hoses as well. The PEX connections to the interior fittings have stayed watertight, so that's always a good thing. If you're curious how we ran these pipes to our hose bibs and the whole PEX manifold in general, make sure to check this video out.